Welcome to In Focus. Today, we cover the escalating violence as the Israeli occupation army intensifies attacks on Lebanon and Gaza, with the UN reporting that women and children makes up 70% of Gaza's casualties. In our second segment, we look at the 2024 US election, where Arab and Muslim American voters, frustrated with both major parties over Gaza, are turning to third-party candidates and even Donald Trump. Join us for deep analysis on these critical developments. But first, let's examine the latest developments in the Middle East. The Israeli occupation army continues its brutal attacks in various areas in Lebanon and the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, the United Nations has reported that approximately 70% of the verified victims of the Gaza war were women and children. The Guardian has highlighted comments from the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, who stated that Gazans have been pushed beyond breaking point, with families, widows and children enduring unprecedented levels of suffering. Jan Egeland visited Gaza this week and described scene after scene of absolute despair, with families torn apart and unable to bury the dead. He criticized Israel's actions, stating that with Western supplied arms, it had rendered the densely populated areas uninhabitable. Egeland, a prominent humanitarian leader and former Norwegian diplomat, condemned the violence as neither a lawful response nor consistent with the humanitarian law. He also highlighted the devastating impact of restricted aid, noting that people had gone days without food and drinking water was sacrilege. Providing more analysis regarding the current updates about the latest escalations in the Middle East, joining us from Ramallah, Dr. Raed Dubai, Professor of Political Science. Dr. Dubai, good evening to you.
Good evening to you, and thank you for having me with you today.
Thank you so much for being with us. And can we expect a ceasefire and the signing of an agreement to exchange prisoners in Gaza and Lebanon for what remains in the time for the Biden administration?
Unfortunately, no, for a very simple reason that Netanyahu did not make it during the previous 1 year. With all the pressure from Biden, when the results or the expectation of the elections shown that Harris had some chances, why he should do it now? It's very clear that the current situation in America, the recent result of the American elections, especially the unique situation that Trump, not just the winner of the presidency election, but even he controlled the Congress, even in the High Court in America. He has 6 seats from the 9. So it is the ideal atmosphere for Netanyahu to wait until making a deal with his partner, with Trump. And if Netanyahu wants to sell this ceasefire, he will never sell it to Biden's administration. He will do that with Trump's administration. It is very clear from what's going on the ground. The daily massacres in Lebanon and in Gaza, the genocidal policy in Gaza, even the methodology which is adopted, which called the Dresden methodology, the destruction of the infrastructure, water, churches, mosques, electricity, all kind of needed principles for a humanitarian life is completely destroyed, and still Netanyahu adopt the same strategy. So Netanyahu do believe that what he can gain from violence, he could gain more from more violence. And I don't think that Biden has any capacity to reach a ceasefire in the upcoming 2 months, especially that Biden himself, he said that by himself, literally, he said you don't need to be a Jew in order to be a Zionist. And I don't see that Biden wants to end his political life by putting pressure on what he ideologically deeply believes that they should be a superpower in the region, Israel and the Israeli occupation.
Right, during the campaigns, the presidential campaigns, Trump has promised to end wars at large and spoke about ending the war in Gaza and Lebanon as well. Now, do we expect Trump to implement those promises to end those wars in Gaza and Lebanon, or do you think those were mere election promises without real plans?
Well, simply Trump could work in order to put an end to this conflict as a businessman. And according to his right-wing ideology, means he could deal with the conflict in Middle East as a deal, as a business deal. The issue is not how to end it, is how to end it. If he ends this war by adopting the Israeli methodology, by annexing northern lands of Gaza and by isolating the parts in Lebanon, then it is not ending of the war. It is putting more fire, and it's more making the whole conflict more complicated. So we need to wait until we see which methodology Trump will adopt. If he adopt international law and UN resolutions, then this is good. But according to our 4 years experience with Trump in his first term, it's very clear that he never adopt international law, he never adopt UN resolutions, he adopt Trump's ideology, and he always looked to the conflicts as business, and he looked to it as part of his deal. He's the one who moved the American embassy into East Jerusalem, which was a very big violation to international law. He was the one who recognized the Israeli annexation to Golan Heights. He was the one who frozen the support to UNRWA. So our experience with Trump showing us that the upcoming 4 years will be full of complicity, more violent ones, and it's very clear that he will adopt the Zionist and the Israeli right-wing methodology and narrative in this conflict. So I don't see Trump's coming to end the conflicts, but he would make them more complicated.
But Mr. Daber, if I may ask you here, if the conflicts in Gaza and Lebanon continue, how will that reflect on the whole region, and will that be in favor of the American or the Trump approach of America first? Does that go in favor of the United States at this very particular time?
Yeah, it is not, of course, and it were not during Biden's time, and he did nothing. What we seen during Biden's time, that more slogans, more mouth speaking, and zero actions. What we witnessed during the previous 400 days, American veto presented to keep the Israeli violation of human rights and genocide against Palestinians. We've seen the American weapons presented freely to the Israeli right-wing government to continue their violation of human rights in Lebanon, in Gaza, in Iran, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria.
That was during the past administration. I'm speaking about a new approach of Mr. Trump, which goes with this very clear slogan, America First. So does the continuation of such a war in the Middle East and its repercussions on the whole region suits this approach of America First, go in favor of this approach of America First?
Of course it is not. And of course works against the American national rights. But again, who said that America deal with Israel as external power? It's very clear that those who believe in the Zionist ideology, especially the Zionist churches inside America, and Trump is one of their believers, believe that the Israeli issue is internal American issue. And we witnessed that during the first term of Trump's administration. I mean by Trump, by the way, not just Trump as a person, but now we have the ideology, which call it Trump ideology, who is surrounded by different right-wing ideologists, and he is surrounded by different assistants who do believe the same as Smotrich and Ben Gvir and Netanyahu. We witnessed in our eyes, the whole world witnessed, when his ambassador in Israel were digging inside Al-Aqsa Mosque. So it's very clear that when we speak about foreign affairs, there is one.
It's clear your point here. Policy. Yes, it's clear. Your point is clear here, Dr. Raed, and remains, of course, to be seen how will things emerge to be after Mr. Trump assumes office. Dr. Raed Dubai, Professor of Political Science, thank you so much for your insights here. And the 2024 US election has seen a notable shift among Arab and Muslim American voters. Traditionally democratic, they now express dissatisfaction with both major parties, largely due to the Gaza war and the perceived inaction from the Biden-Harris administration. The shift has led to increased support for third-party candidates and renewed interest in Donald Trump's campaign.
We can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America, and indeed the whole world. This is a magnificent victory for the American people. Promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises. Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people. We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again.
The Voice of America headline in historic shift, American Muslim and Arab voters desert Democrats, captures the significance of a profound political realignment in the 2024 US elections. This shift reflects a growing discontent among Arab Muslim Americans, largely due to the Biden administration's handling of the Gaza war. In Michigan, a key battleground state, disillusionist voters split between Trump and third-party candidate Jill Stein, showing a clear message that traditional party loyalists are no longer given for granted. As Arab and Muslim Americans seek leaders who align with their values of both foreign and domestic issues, the election may serve as a wake-up call for future Democratic campaigns. Welcome back, and joining us to discuss these changes are Dr. Tawfiq Hamid, political researcher, and Dr. Ashraf Singer, world political analyst, who will explore the impact of these evolving voter trends on the US politics. Dr. Hamid, Dr. Singh. Good evening to you both, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Now, Dr. Hamid, how has the Biden-Harris stance on Gaza affected Arab and Muslim voters, and why has it resonated so strongly?
Thank you for the invitation, first of all, and welcome to all the audience and to your respected guests. Actually, the Biden administration handling of Gaza Strip didn't fit with what many in the Arab and Muslim community wants. They wanted or expected that the Biden administration, who for several years relied as a Democratic Party on their votes to some extent at least, they expected them to reciprocate this by pressuring Israel, by stopping the war from the Israeli side, by stopping giving more weapons to Israel or weapons to Israel in this war. But this didn't happen, and they were, generally speaking, disappointed, or many of them were disappointed, and it was a turning shift for their views, particularly when Kamala Harris came and said some statement to them and said probably the opposite to the Jewish side. So they felt that maybe it's better for them to choose another candidate, Donald Trump, or probably to go to a third candidate like representative of the Green Party, for example, or not to vote. But in all situations, it was depriving the Democratic Party and Kamala Harris and Biden administration from the Muslims' vote at the end, even if you didn't give it to President Trump. But certainly many of them went to took it a step further to give to President Trump because they felt there is a possibility that the man can really stop wars, as he did already in his presidency, not a single war declared during his presidency. The second was a moral issue when it comes to the schools and the transgender and preventing parents from telling their kids if they were males or females. This intervention in their family tradition made them actually more inclined to give Trump, who at least for them carry the same traditional values about these issues. So I see that in addition to this, you have a third factor, which is the economic factor that affects many Americans, including Arab Muslims. So some of them have additional factor to add to the previous ones to give their votes to Trump, hoping that he will improve the economy. So there are three factors. One of them was Gaza, but there are other factors as well in this situation.
Now, Dr. Singh, what key issues have led Arab and Muslim Americans to shift away from the Democratic Party this U.S. presidential election?
This is a very clear that the Arab American, they were approaching, Democratic Party. They were declaring their concern before the election day. But unfortunately, the current administration, either Biden, Kamala Harris, they didn't really listen to the major leaders in Michigan. In other words, they're born in Michigan. This is a major city where most of the Arab American, they live there. So basically, the reason that there has been a shift, a significant shift in voting in that elections, if I can really deliver some numbers. In last election, 2020, President Biden won Dearborn by 74%. Trump, he got about like 47%. So this is big gap between Biden and Trump. But now, if we can really, find Harris received almost 28%. But the significant number for the Green Party, she got, which is Jill Stein, she gained 22%. So this is mean that the Arab American punished, the Kamala Harris, punished, the Democratic Party in that elections. This is one of the major reasons, actually, if we would like to give more light on, as Dr. Hamid, said, the stance of current administration that on Gaza, on Lebanon, they gave a full support of Israel to defend itself or herself. This is okay. This is normal to hear that. But, that degree that the Biden administration was very weak and is still very weak to stop this violence. And, the expectation from Arab American, from the current administration, of the American, leader or global leader failed, to stop these conflicts, particularly after we're counting the number of people got killed in Gaza and Lebanon. Gaza, more than 40,000 people got killed, most of them from, women and children. And next war or expansion or moving to next war in Lebanon. So this is, show that is, Biden administration didn't really listen to the Arab American and their voice, that was very loud, You guys, you should do something to stop this conflict. This is not the right time during the election, and you still need to get that support from Arab American. Of course, never ever they're gonna to give that support to Kamala Harris, because they consider Kamala Harris or considering Kamala Harris as a part of the Biden administration.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Hamid, now, how do you think Donald Trump managed to attract some of the Arab and Muslim voters despite the previous tensions during his first term as U.S. president?
Excuse me, what do you mean by despite? Do you mean about the Arab-Israeli conflict issue?
No, I mean about his previous term as the U.S. president that went until 2020. So there were some kind of tension at this very particular time. How was Trump able to attract those Arab and Muslim voters during this year's U.S. elections, from your point of view?
I can see the question now. Actually, I from my analysis, at least 80% of the voting that went from Biden administration or the Democrat or Kamala Harris toward the Trump side were because of the negative impact or relationship with the Biden administration due to the factors that I mentioned about Gaza and the handling of Gaza issue. So I believe that significant part of the reason why they went to Trump not because Trump was more attractive to them this time than the previous time, but this time the negative aspects in the Biden and the opposing administration were so significant to them at several levels, including the Gaza issue, including the economy, including the morals issue. So for them, Trump here, they forgot any negative aspect that happened in the past, and they felt it is the best hope for them is to give him his votes, at least to revenge from the Biden administration, or not to give any a vote to Biden administration, which again fits with supporting Trump indirectly. So I think what happened represent a revolt or a revolution against the Biden administration approach. So, and they have a deep feeling that they probably have Trump was good in economy, if you would remember, in his previous elections for the first 3 years until COVID came, and this is not his fault. So many of the fair people felt that the guy can actually save the economy. And remember, many of them have kids and grandkids here. They don't also want to see illegal immigrants coming to the country through the borders, open border policy. probably attack their kids
Right.
or grandkids in the future. So they are normal Americans also in this regard.
Right, let me take here Dr. Singer. And Dr. Singer, what factors make third-party candidate like Jill Stein appealing to Arab and Muslim voters this year? And what does this swing in Arab and Muslim votes reveal about the power of the community of the Arab and Muslim minority in the elections?
So it was clear that Stein was showing her support to Palestinians, support to Lebanon. Her support was clear, was asking, to, achieve the ceasefire, stop transferring arms to Israel. Remember also, Stein is an American Jew. So, and this is really matching with Bernie Sanders, Jack Schumer, Thomas Friedman, to the Jewish community in the United States, they were not happy about this administration. Yes. And the statistics, showing or shows.
Yes, briefly, Dr. Singer, because I don't. We're running out of time.
So 79 of the American Jew, voted for Harris, not for Trump. So this was a clear or a significant hint that why the Arab American, the big style, not really choose Kamala Harris.
Right. Dr. Tawfiq Hamid, the political researcher, and Dr. Ashraf Singer, world politics analyst at the United Media Services. Thank you so much for providing us those valuable insights into the evolving political dynamics among the Arab and Muslim American voters. And I guess that wraps up our episode today for In Focus. Remember to stay updated by following Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Qnews EGY for the latest developments. Many thanks for watching.